Happy Scalentine's Day, Scal. Thanks for joining us.
You finally believe me that the Heat are not that good? I'm just asking. I just want to know.
I do now believe that. Are the Hawks good?
They played good last night, but I just wanted to be clear with this one. I just want to put this one to bed because a lot of people gave me heat going on your show. They say I'm acting condescending towards Boston fans or Heat fans or Heat or whatever.
The Heat culture? Did you get flack for Heat culture going against that?
I got all that all the way up until last night, and they're like, they're just not big enough. You can't be small in the NBA. Like you just look at their starting lineup; they're too small. And if you're small, you have to be so good, so quick, so elite level shooting to win games. And they just listen. I get the culture thing. I think they'll bounce back next year, but I did not see what everyone else was seeing when it comes to got to watch out for the Miami Heat. This is going to be a crazy series. I did not see that.
All right. Well, Charles Barkley doesn't know what he's talking about. I agree. Anybody on the Miami Heat side, shame on them. You can score that one for Scal. Let me. How do you feel about this take, Scal? I think it would be a disappointment, not a failure, just a disappointment if the Celtics don't sweep this Atlanta team. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you'd be disappointed because you got plans or something like that?
They should just beat the crap out of this Atlanta team like they beat the crap out of Brooklyn last year. You said you think they're better than they were last year. They swept Brooklyn last year, who I think is better than Atlanta. They should sweep this Atlanta team. I'd just be disappointed if they don't.
I don't know, man. If they win more, if they have to go back to Atlanta, I'd be disappointed. But a gentleman sweep's a gentleman sweep in the NBA nowadays. So I would say, it's really hard to beat a team 4 times in a row. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving gave up last year. I was sitting there courtside calling the game, and I've never seen Kevin Durant talk to anybody on the floor. He came out at halftime. He's joking with Ime Udoka. He's joking around with Jason Tatum. Like, I knew right then and there this thing was over. So, maybe the Hawks have more pride than that. Are the Celtics that much better? Yeah, because they should be able to exploit a lot of things. But I just saw last night, Trae Young was really good last night. I just thought he paced the game the way he should, and anything could happen. But I'm semi with you, but I would be disappointed if I have to get on a plane twice and go back to Atlanta.
All right, for you, we will hope that doesn't happen, Scal. I want to ask
lemon pepper wings.
Ask you about Jaylen Brown's injury. Firstly, I'm just going to ignore that little comment from my co-host.
That was a good comment. That's really good.
First of all,
but it's got to be Monday night now. You know that, right?
I did not know that. No, tell me more. It's about Monday night. That's where it's
Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't just go any night. It's Magic City Monday. It's not they do get down Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But Monday's the way you want to go. That's the day you want to be there.
Do they do radio remotes from there? I mean, maybe we could do. If they go back to Atlanta for a game 6, maybe we could be there.
We can definitely do that. At 1 in the morning. I know a guy that knows a guy. We can hook that up.
Nice.
Wow, I hesitate to get away from this, but with Jaylen Brown's hand injury, what's your concern level with that? And I'm just going to ask the follow-up right now. What is the dumbest, silliest injury that you sustained while you were playing, not even necessarily in the NBA, but off court?
I was wakeboarding one time and got a concussion when I've already had 2 concussions, so that wasn't the ideal scenario. Probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. I'm the kind of guy that's okay, there's a point in which I'm sure there's, when I hear people talk about teammates or whatever, I could read between the lines of the NBA. I've been around locker rooms and I understand how people talk and what they do in their actions. I can read all that, right? One thing for me is the injury front, especially in today's day and age, I do a really poor job with that. So I don't really concern myself with that kind of stuff. And I should, right? Because I'm an analyst and you got to break all that stuff down. But I take everything for face value, whether it's true or not true. It's just the way I am. And when the medical staff says he's going to be out for a week and he's going to be back and it shouldn't be a problem. And I know, they've been saying this about Zion Williamson forever and he never plays, right? So I get, there's a level of you don't want to lead too much on, and I get the NBA does that. I just don't know how to decipher that when they're telling me that. So I'm not concerned. I'm going to take everything at face value. and I'm sure that Jaylen Brown will be back and playing. The only thing is, it'd be great for him to be able to work this week. But he has proven in the past that he can miss some time. I think he came back from COVID, played 46 minutes, and had 47 points. So he doesn't seem like the type of guy that I'd be concerned that he's like out of shape or not ready. I feel like he's going to be ready.
Scal, we talked about this a few times, and I remember you saying that you had a list. I was wondering if it's been updated since the season ended. Is Jaylen Brown All-NBA, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I looked at the list, and I'm talked to a lot of people. I think he's going to be a third-team All-NBA player. The guys, the only thing you cannot control is like Kevin Durant played 42 games. Like, how many people are going to take a Jaylen Brown vote away to vote for a guy who clearly deserves it and is a better player than Jaylen Brown? I get it. But he does not deserve All-NBA over Jaylen Brown.
So just quickly to interrupt, and I'm sorry, but you say Durant. So do you think Brown is going to make All-NBA as a forward or a guard?
So from my understanding, you could pick him however you want, and
Correct.
the votes just add up. That's my understanding. So, like, if you go to third team and you vote this guy, and then there's a guard spot available, you could pick Jaylen Brown as a guard. And I also, if you choose to put him as a forward, you could choose to do that. And the votes don't count against each other. So if you wanted Jaylen Brown on there, you can vote him as a guard and a forward. You just can't do this. It's the only thing you can't do. Like, you can't put Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, and then Sabonis. You couldn't, because that would be like four forwards or slash centers.
Right.
You know what I mean? You couldn't like insert one of those guys as a guard. But for Jaylen Brown, you could insert him as a guard or as a forward. So you should be all set. You should get it. And like I said, it's not like if he got 50 guard votes and 50 forward votes, he only gets 50 votes. He gets 100 votes. So when you add it all up, unless like the NBA media just does not care about games played, which they might, I don't know. You never know how people are going to act, right? They want to access Kevin Durant. They want to be on his podcast, whatever the reason. Like, they could end up voting a lot of guys that play like a fraction of the games, which would be a problem. But if you just look at the guys who play and bring it and the guys who win and the guys who impact winning, there's no way he's not on third team All-NBA.
Going back to your time in Boston, what happened in that series against the Atlanta Hawks in 2008? I know it's different players in a different time.
They were better than people thought.
Did you take them lightly though? Do you feel like you guys took them lightly?
Nah, they were better. Like all those guys were unproven. I think they traded for Mike Bibby. Like guys like, let me just throw some names out there. Like Al Horford is pretty freaking good. He's won everywhere he's went. Like Josh Smith has been like his role there was like this. I'm going to run the floor. They traded that year for Mike Bibby, so their record was sorry. They didn't have anything, but yet that team was pretty good. Another guy that was an impactful player in that series was Zaza Pachulia. But the series was never close. It was never a tight game at home. We won by like 20, 30, 20, like that kind of stuff. But, man, when you get to Atlanta, it's probably a party city. I didn't go out, but I'm sure people went out.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Paul Pierce never went out.
I'm different now than I was as a player. But, I just think you can take the game seriously while you're preparing for the game, but not take it serious the night before. So, there's a lot of things. But if you just go back and look at some of the names, that team was better than people thought. That's just those guys they were winners. They weren't awful, and we weren't. And we were a team that overreacted to a lot of stuff. Like in 2010, we didn't overreact to anything. Everything just came, and we're gonna be fine. We'll be fine. But in that year, we'd lose a game, and the locker room would be on edge. So that whole thing was just like an edgy situation. But I don't think it was ever close. We were never going to lose it. But it went, 7 games. I mean, just think about it. We took them to 7 games, but we beat the Pistons in 6. That's just an odd thing.
You described that team as being on edge. How would you describe the feeling in the locker room, the way that the guys seem going into the playoffs after what feels like kind of a really long drag trying to get back into the playoffs after last year?
This year's team?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit disconnected with the current NBA player. I don't fully understand how they treat all this, especially like the games played, there's a lot of things that I can't say, well, my experience, we did this. I know a lot of people say that, but I can't do that with this group. They're very different than we were. So it's just a very, very different group. So I don't know how they look at it. I don't know how they're going into this. I can only tell you guys what I know from the standpoint of I think they're way better than they were. I've mentioned it many times. They're just a better basketball team. It's not even close, really.
So they should sweep, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can be disappointed all you want or whatever you want to say. I would only be disappointed if I have to go back to Atlanta. I'll just keep saying that. But I don't know how they're treating this. I do know they recognize the journey, and the number one thing I wish they recognize. I don't know if they do or they don't. But they lost to the Golden State Warriors for many reasons, like Steph Curry, whatever. But a lot of it is because the series got dragged out. They could have took care of business early. They could have got in and got out of series. Like some of those bad turnovers and starting out 22-3 or whatever to the Miami Heat, which a team you're way better than. Like those type of things, the turnovers, the bad starts to the half. Those are the reasons I think that we had no chance of beating the Warriors when you look back on it. But if you take care, every game is important. Every game you play is important in the playoffs because you're saving your legs for someplace down the road. When the Warriors went up to a different level, and you can go look at the Warriors' playoff schedule, it wasn't very difficult. Once they played us, they had a lot in the tank. We didn't have much in the tank.
Scal, who do you think was more impactful this year and in the second part of this question deserves more playoff minutes, Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White?
I think they'll both play at the maximum they possibly can. Like, their bodies can hold up. Derek White will play more minutes because Brogdon plays, works every possession. He's much more involved in each possession. So, for Brogdon will play as many minutes as his body can hold up.
Who was more impactful this year?
Probably Derek White. That's a really good question. Probably Derek White, but Brogdon puts us on a level that we couldn't touch last year because of his ability. Now we'll see the value of having Brogdon out there.
All right. He's Brian Scalabrine. He joins us each and every Wednesday on Scalentine's Day here on Jones and Mego with Arcand. That means we'll be talking to you when the Celtics are up 2-0 on Atlanta next week. Scal, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Scal.
Sounds good. See you.
All right, Brian Scalabrine, as all our guests, joins us on the Harbor One Hotline. He's brought to you by Shaw's and Star Market, bringing people together around the joys of food, by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when your drains don't flow, and by Dr. Matthew Lopresti at Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Tommy Curran at 1-800-GET-HAIR.
I done been to Major City, the Wings of Fire.